So what happens when your own mind becomes a prison? And the only moment of clarity you get is, well, something you desperately wish you didn't have. Today, we are diving deep into a psychological story that really messes with your head, pulling us from what seems like a fragile, medicated piece into a revelation that is just absolutely chilling. Right from the start, this is what our narrator tells us. It's so simple, so direct. It's a confession that pulls you right in, like she's telling you a secret. And you can't help but wonder, what kind of ill and what exactly is she hiding? Okay, so first we meet Margaret. And her world, it's like a gilded cage. It seems all calm and tranquil, but it's built on a foundation of heavy medication. We learn pretty quickly that she's so unwell she needs constant, around-the-clock care. It paints this picture of someone who is incredibly vulnerable from the get-go.
And through this medicated haze, we see her children as these perfect, angelic little beings. There's Jocelyn, the thoughtful 8-year-old, Simon, her wild, rule-breaking little boy, and then sweet Eveline with her little cherubic face. For Margaret, they are the absolute heart of her world, a world that seems on the surface to be perfect.
You know, her whole life is on a strict schedule. She has attendance for every shift, specific meals, and 2 different doctors, one for her physical health, one for her mental health. All of this just reinforces how sick she is. Her entire environment is clinical, precise, and totally designed to keep her reality stable and calm. But that peaceful surface is paper thin. And this is where the author is so clever, because they start planting these tiny, subtle clues, the first signs that Margaret's reality isn't what it seems, and that something is really, really wrong just beneath that calm facade. And this is where you really start to feel it. Look how other people react to her. Her favorite attendant, Tiffany, asks about the kids, but then her response is just this little click of the tongue. It's so dismissive, almost like she feels sorry for her. Then a friend, Allison, comes to visit, and she seems nervous, and her own attendant looks annoyed. These little moments start planting seeds of doubt for us. You have to ask, why is everyone acting so weird about her world? Then you get this quiet little moment. Her friend's dog, Figgy, immediately trusts Margaret, and the owner mutters this line. It's this strange little bit of comfort, right? It suggests that deep down, Margaret is a good person. Even with all this unease from the staff hanging in the air, you can just feel that something is coming. And then, bam, the outside world crashes in. An attendant is reading the newspaper and reads this headline out loud. It's about a father petitioning to have his 3 missing children declared dead. This information just completely shatters Margaret's reality, where her own 3 kids are supposedly just playing in the next room. So this brings us to the story's major turning point. As the day ends, that gentle, medicated haze starts to curdle into something much, much darker. This is the moment the title of the story itself warns us about. This is where everything changes. The story basically asks us this question, right? And it creates this incredible suspense. All day, the medication has been this shield, holding her fragile world together. So what happens when that shield starts to fail? What kind of reality is waiting for her underneath all that fog? And here you see the difference, and it is stark. During the day, her world is a soft focus, golden blur. Everything's kind of fuzzy. But at night, it's like a switch flips. That blur sharpens into this cold blue, almost clinical focus. Her head clears up, but the story calls it an unwelcomed clarity. Think about that. That's a terrifying thought, that being lucid, being clear-headed, is actually the source of the horror. All right, so get ready. This leads us to the absolute gut punch of the story. This is the big reveal. We're about to find out the true nature of her children's nightly visits and the horrific truth that Margaret is forced to see every single night when her medication wears off. And this slide just lays it all out. The daytime children, the ones with the golden curls and the sparkling eyes, that's how she wants to remember them. That's her coping mechanism. But at night, she's forced to see them as they really were in their final moments, with every single horrific, fatal injury described in graphic, unflinching detail. The contrast is just devastating. And then there's this. Their question just cuts right through you. It shows the absolute depth of her torment every night. It's a direct accusation, you know? It's a manifestation of her own crushing, overwhelming guilt. This isn't just a bad memory. It's a recurring nightmare where she's confronted by the consequences of what she thinks she did. So, in this final part of the story,
all that psychological horror gets grounded in some cold, hard facts. The full backstory finally comes out, and it gives us the context for everything we've just seen and explains what Margaret's situation really is.
This timeline connects all the dots. 3 years ago, she and the kids vanished. Then, she was found on a highway, all alone and covered in blood. She went into a catatonic state, couldn't even speak. And here's the kicker. We find out she's not in some fancy private care facility. She's a patient at Willow Grove, a high-security forensic psychiatric hospital. Her entire reality has been nothing but a medicated delusion.
So you might be wondering, why a hospital and not a prison? Well, it all comes down to this legal term. She was found incompetent to stand trial, which means her mental state was so broken she couldn't even understand what she was being charged with, let alone help with her own defense. This really completes the picture. She's not just a patient, she's an inmate in a psychiatric facility accused of a truly terrible crime. But just when you think you have it all figured out, the story hits you with one last shocking twist. We'd learned earlier that sometimes she attacks her husband when he visits. We all just assumed it was part of her illness, right? A lashing out from the guilt. But now, she reveals there's a very specific reason for it, a secret that only she and her husband know. And with that one sentence, the entire story flips on its head. Everything, her nightly hauntings, the guilt, her violent outbursts at her husband, it's all recontextualized. So what do you believe? Is she an unreliable narrator telling one last desperate lie to save herself? Or is she a woman who's been trapped in this nightmare, silenced by drugs, who is finally telling the awful, horrifying truth for the very first time? The story doesn't tell us. It just leaves us there, with that chilling possibility, forcing us to question every single thing we thought we knew.